This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I am Sean Anderson. Alongside me is Dave Oster.
I'm back.
And Ricky Widmer.
He goes first this time?
He's back? I guess you're starting a new streak here.
I'm here every once in a while.
Once in a while. And
what's with him going first? You demote me, man?
No, because I was looking to my right.
Oh, okay.
It was just the way I was looking.
I see how
if he pays me more attention, maybe I'll show up more often.
Maybe.
I think that might be the new strategy. Just make Dave feel important, and we'll see Dave more consistently here. But anyways, welcome to the Fast Break. We're going to jump into our topics of Tom Thibodeau being hired by the Minnesota Timberwolves. We're seeing how great of a fit it is for them. Also in Washington, the Washington Wizards hired Scott Brooks. I think it's personally a bad move, but Ricky and Dave might disagree with me there. And then we're going to finally wrap it up here with NBA playoff talk. We are in the midst of the first round of the NBA playoffs, and we're really surprised by the Heat, and we most likely think the Cavs are going to go to the first round. We'll also talk a little Western Conference Finals here. Well, let's jump in, guys. Tom Thibodeau being hired by the Minnesota Timberwolves, but not only as the head coach, but also the president of basketball operations. First off, I think it's pretty unanimous, but I do want to say, do you like the move?
Well, the only thing that I felt, or the only person I should say, that should be crying right now is whoever thinks they're going to be drafted by the T-Bulls at 5.
We had this discussion last week, and I think you're a fool.
Thibodeau doesn't like to play young talent.
So now, is he going to take that 5th pick and trade it for some veteran experience?
He could.
Now, that's a move I could see Thibodeau pulling off.
Like
that is
trading Rubio and the pick for like a star point guard.
That is a move I can see happening. Is that you trade the pick and try to get veteran leadership here? I don't think you might trade Rubio now. I think he wants a true point guard here, and Rubio is developing his shot. I mean, we put out our hold on. We put out our show last week. I know you weren't here, Dave, but
whoa, saying I wasn't here almost.
I was gonna because we're talking about Ricky Rubio.
Yeah.
So I was that's the only reason why I messed up. But a lot of Timberwolves fans were mad that we wanted to trade Ricky Rubio and we're going to move Zach LaVine to the 1.
I would still trade Rubio. I'm sorry. He's not the future of your team.
Just want to mention it here. I mean,
the man doesn't have a shot.
He is shooting 32% from 3. I mean, that's a dangerous shooter right there. I'm being sarcastic, obviously. But, I mean, I think I disagree with you here that, I mean, if he trades a pick, then that wouldn't surprise me here. But I think if you get a top 5 pick, Thibodeau's going to play him. I think I disagree with you there, but it might change the pickup now because maybe he'll go with a more defensive-minded player than an offensive stud or a 4 like Bender if they're high enough to pick Bender, where they might go a Pirtle because he is more polished on the defensive side. So I mean, because we talked about this last week, he never had a top 5 pick. He never had a lottery pick.
Yeah, he walked into
Doug McDermott was his highest, and that's when
he traded him.
Well, no, we traded for him. We traded 2 picks that were like right behind him. We traded Gary Harris and Nurkic for Dougie, and Dougie didn't even play much that first year.
No, he got put on the shit list because he couldn't play defense.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, let's say and this is why the T-Wolves, I'm immediately saying right now, Buddy Hield's not going to get drafted by the T-Wolves.
No way.
Because Thibodeau is now the Chip Kelly of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I say that because
I think that puts it in a negative context. Well, I appreciate the
he's the coach and he's running the team. So he's not going to draft a guy who people say don't play defense. Like Garpak said, here you go. Here's the guy we traded for. And he said, well, fuck that. He doesn't play defense. So Buddy Hield may not be going to the T-Wolves. This may be an interesting style, why he pushed for and I'm going to use a term that Dave's son and I call the master architect title, because he wants to put together the team, because if he puts it together, then he can know the plan for the team. Here's an interesting thing I'm going to throw out there. This is all just speculation. What if the T-Wolves try to trade the pick and let's say the Raptors can't work something out with DeRozan, tries to sign and trade, pick and maybe Rubio to get DeRozan to the T-Wolves.
How would he even fit, though?
You move LaVine over to the 1.
And then you get DeMar DeRozan instead of like a shooting guard like Murray or Heel, whoever's there.
I feel like that moves up the clock too much on this team. This is a team that is so young and so full of talent. I mean, I know Kevin Garnett's on the team, but like their core is young. They haven't hit their prime yet. They're just still growing. They're still learning. I think putting DeMar DeRozan there puts a clock on them for, hey, we've got 3 years where we're going to have fantastic talent all under contract, all locked down, and this is our shot.
But doesn't this team need veteran? Don't they need vets on that team that is not KG? Because KG came back just to play in Minnesota before he retired.
I think they need players just to develop. I think they just need time to develop here. And if you look at DeRozan, I mean, the thing that they're really lacking is a three-point shot because you have Wiggins who can do very similar things to DeRozan here.
I was going to say.
And, you have Karl-Anthony Towns down low who could score. I just think that that's way too much where you need more three-point shooting. And I'm not saying DeRozan's a terrible three-point shooter, 33%, but it's nothing, spectacular there. Right. So I think that's kind of pushing it there with DeRozan because I don't see a natural fit there too because him and Wiggins are so similar and out on the wing there. Then LaVine, he didn't really fit in the one was what Timberwolves fans are telling me. I'll go with them.
I also want to add, we had a comment, I'm apologizing because I can't remember the exact username of who made the comment. We had a comment from a T-Bulls fan, too, saying that Wiggins is at the 3 right now because they need him to play there. He fits more at the 2. So to me, you can throw that into, yes, Wiggins can be at the 3, but if he fits more as a 2, are you going to have a crowded 2 spot with Wiggins and LaVine, who both, to me at least, and to everyone else, prove that they can be on the floor at the same time? And the reason why I throw the DeRozan thing out there, I know people aren't liking the LaVine over the point, but if you look at the point guards that are out there, I mean, maybe a Mike Conley, maybe the Grizzlies try to, if they can't re-sign Conley, they do okay, let's have a sign and trade, or do they just go to Rondo, because Rondo's going to cut off everything with the Kings right away and just try to sign with the team. I would say Conley, Rondo, and maybe Jalen are the 3 point guards that the T-Wolves
and out of those
target.
3, I mean, I like all 3, but as a Tom Thibodeau choice, Rondo gives him a hard-on. He's played against Rondo at his best. He knows exactly what he can do.
Boston Bulls series,
greatest first-round series of all time. We all know, but he knows exactly what he can do. He's a shutdown defender. Rondo seemed to recompose himself and gotten back to what he does best, which is drive in the lane, play some intense defense, and have great vision on the court. That's exactly what Thibodeau wants. That's exactly what would fit this team. I think that it would be a smart pickup. Conley, very good defender. Not on the same level, but good.
Well, if you're going to go ahead and get Conley, the thing I think of is you've got to trade Rubio, because the thing how it's going to be is, first off, you can't have a crowded point guard with Conley and Rubio, the contract, but really it's basically we're just swapping point guards. Memphis, here you go. You get Ricky Rubio, and we'll take Mike Conley.
I mean, but you also need to throw more in there because I think Conley's way better than...
That's the basis of it. Of course, the 5th overall pick would be there, but really you're swapping point guards.
That's way too much.
5th on top, no.
That's way too much.
The point is, if you're getting Conley, you have to swap point guards. That's the main point, what I was trying to make. Don't ask me to come up with trades. That's all I'm saying.
I think the easiest thing you do is you get Rondo because, I mean, Rondo, it does not want to be in Sacramento. They have no way to keep him. I mean, Rondo could just cut ties and just go to the Timberwolves if he actually wants them. And then,
that's the easiest.
Yeah, and the thing, and I think it's fairly the best because, the thing with Rondo is when he's playing like he has this year, I mean, that's a perfect fit with Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns. And then also, the biggest thing with Rondo is that character issues. But, Thibodeau's been working with Rondo since Rondo came into the league. So I think that really works, fairly well there. But the thing that really is questioning me here is why would Thibodeau, with such young talent, with, everyone like Muhammad, Karl-Anthony Towns, Wiggins, LaVine, all under 25, why would he want to blow up that nucleus and bring in way too many guys? I think he might just want to let these guys develop because he knows he has some time and maybe he will develop these guys that he already has. I mean, I can see the point of bringing veterans in, but maybe you bring veterans for the bench instead of the starting lineup here. Mainly the question, though, I do want to ask you, though, is with the fit that it is right now, disregarding what he will do in the draft and what he will do in free agency, what do you think, or how do you think Tom Thibodeau fits with the Timberwolves?
I mean, the whole thing, the first thing I thought of was, Tom Thibodeau doesn't like to play his young talent. Why would he want young talent? But when you think about his time in Chicago, he had to deal with Garpax. And Bulls fans right now, we know how much we hate Garpax right now, especially how our team is basically blowing up in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
To where this is just Thibodeau saw, hey, this is a young team. It's got a ton of potential. And really, to me, they're just one or two vets away from having a core they have
a core.
They have a youth nucleus, but they need that veteran experience to go along with it.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things, like you said, is the fact that he is his own boss to an extent makes the biggest difference in the world because
that's because he dealt with Garpax for
exactly.
so long.
So he can take the time to manage his team top down the way he wants to, lay out all the players whatever way he wants to. It's going to be entirely on him, which is kind of awesome, kind of going to be a huge risk because, look, we've seen what happens if things go right for him, but we've also seen the wear and tear on his players because of his habits, because of his play style. So there's upside and downside. He could take some of these younger players and develop them, build them up defensively, get their game all around. He took Jimmy Butler as a second-round pick and turned him into a top 3 shooting guard. I'm not saying the talent wasn't all there with Jimmy, but he definitely influenced him, built him up, knew the areas to build around. So honestly, it's with a team like that where he can coach them, he can mold these players into whatever he wants, which is notoriously going to be defensive, like shutdown players. It's really going to balance this team out, which is why I think the fit is perfect. I think he can do what he wants. He can absolutely mold this team. But the biggest question is, like, who's going to be the casualty? Who is not the core out of this? Who's he going to see as expendable going forward? Is it the bench? Because, the big thing in Chicago, what led to his success, he didn't necessarily have that star every year, but he had that bench mob.
Yep.
He had the overwhelming support of that team being one unit, and they absolutely love to play for each other. So I absolutely agree with you, Sean, when you brought up bringing veterans for the bench and absolutely filling that out. Let the youth play. It's going to see success, and we're going to watch this team grow really well over the next 2 years.
Well, you brought up an interesting thing there. I mean, outside of Wiggins and Towns, honestly, I'm not sure who is truly safe in Minnesota because LaVine, how athletic he is and how great he is offensively, I don't know if Thibodeau might see the defensive potential in LaVine. So out of the core, I mean, outside of Wiggins and Towns, because I don't think Thibodeau's that crazy to trade either of them, because I think it's kind of like the D Rose and Noah situation where, I mean, obviously Wiggins might be comparable to Rose here, but Karl-Anthony Towns isn't anything that Thibodeau's ever had. But the thing with that is, who do you think the true casualty outside of in the youth part will be the guy to go? Because I have a feeling, like Dave mentioned, that there might be a casualty in there because he doesn't fit the mold of a Tom Thibodeau player.
Are we talking like just any player or like somebody who's a starter right now?
I think let's go starters now, or like say guys under 20, like Muhammad, LaVine, Rubio, Wiggins, Towns. I mean, if you think Wiggins and Towns is going, I think I'm just talking more of the younger guys who we see as the potential core.
Yeah, I see any of the backcourt. I mean, between LaVine, Rubio, Tyus even, it's these guys who maybe haven't done bad by any means. Mm-hmm. But maybe it's something that Tom Thibodeau doesn't see in them, or or sees value, trading them out to get some veterans in there. We know the big thing, I don't know, maybe it's just a D Rose thing. I'm comparing a lot of this back to what he did on the Bulls, which was go out and get yourself an aggressive scoring point guard for the bench unit. So that way you'll never have that depression point where it's like, all right, we got the bench guys in, scoring's at a low. No, he's all about get the aggressive point guard for the bench, and then filled around that with defensive stoppers down low in the post. So I don't know. They've got multiple guys in that backcourt who are young, who still have value. I think that one or two of them may even get moved in the next year.
See, I'm going a completely different direction. I kind of want to lean towards Dieng as the odd man out. And the reason why I say that is now the 5th overall pick may be too high to take this player. That's why there may be an opportunity to trade back, but still stay in the top 10 to get him. A guy who's being graded as, and I quote, potentially an elite defender. And we know how much Tom Thibodeau loves his defenders, but the T-Wolves in the draft could say, hey, you know what? We don't need a point guard. Let's target Jakob Poeltl and fill out that 5 spot. That
stretch cat to the 4.
And and then that makes Dieng expendable because, hey, look, we've got a 5 here that we can get in the top 10. that's an elite defender, and Thibodeau loves defenders.
Well, the talk with the Timberwolves draft-wise, it's either a wing that can shoot threes and you can really take off the pressure for Wiggins playing outside, or a 5 to make Cat a stretch 4, like you said. I think Pirtle would be a good fit there. I don't know
it's
where
Pirtle healed.
Yeah, I don't know where they would take him, or even Murray if Murray does fall.
Right.
I think you need to go someone who is a little more polished. So maybe you go with a healed. If they somehow really fall back to like a 4.
Yeah, I honestly didn't see Murray being there by the time they draft.
Yeah, I mean, if they really fall back like crazy draft lottery stuff where they fall like back to like the 11th spot and like Pirtle's not there and obviously Hield won't be there, maybe you go with Denzel because Denzel is very versatile and he could play outside. I mean, that's the kind of guy that I don't think you're going to go with a guy like Thon Maker if you're the Timberwolves, or a guy who's completely raw like Ivan Robb or Jaylen Brown, because Jaylen Brown has the potential because he has so much athleticism to be an elite defender. But I think if we're talking like the reason with Thibodeau not playing rookies is because they're too raw to actually
contribute on the level he wants.
Thank you. I just don't think that he's going to go with someone who's too raw. I think he's going to try to look for someone who had a couple of years experience in college.
Or one guy you didn't even mention, and some of you maybe in the comment section going, yeah, but Ricky, you forgot that Henry Ellison is actually ranked higher in big boards and mock drafts than Jakob Pirtle. Yeah, but I think Thibodeau would go more towards Pirtle because he's the defender, and Ellison, it says right there on his draft profile that he's not an elite defender, and Thibodeau likes defense.
Ellison can't play defense. I can see it, though, if you do want to keep Towns at the 5. That's the only way I can see it, though. I mean, the same thing with Bender.
Thibodeau's going to go defense. He's going to find the player to fit his system. It's Pirtle over Ellison if we're picking the 2.
If Bender falls, then maybe the only reason I could see them going with an Ellison or Pirtle, or an Ellison or Bender, is if they want Cat to stay at the 5. That's the only way I can say that.
I think would be almost a waste of his range. I mean, he's an all-around player who's just phenomenal at such a young age. I think keeping him with the 5 would kind of limit his game and his growth. But either way, I think he absolutely hit the jackpot with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Thibodeau, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better team to start with. The core is there. You've got youth everywhere. You've got cap room, and you've got pieces who other people will value. You're going to have a top 10 draft pick most likely. So all around, I think Timberwolves, Thibodeau, perfect match.
Now, one thing that I'm going to throw out here, and it might be crazy, and I'm kind of going to 2K Ricky range here. All right, but
I tried to stay out of it
today. Let me go here. $63 million in cap, and you got a little while until the Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins contracts actually come up.
Right.
And you could trade Ricky Rubio and get more cap here with the cap going up to $90 million.
LeBron, talking about. Right?
No.
You're talking about them maybe getting LeBron.
Restricted free agent center Andre Drummond, because Drummond is a beast inside, and if you want to make Cat that stretch 4, then maybe you throw the bucket at Andre Drummond, and maybe you find some way to get him.
And go for Dwight,
or maybe even Hassan Whiteside.
Or Hassan Whiteside's going to command a value.
Yeah, so Drummond
or Joakim Noah.
I think he understands where Joe is at in his career.
Yeah, he would, but he would be a bench player. He would be.
Joe is an energy and a bench player.
He would not start
out there. Then that could go more towards of the strengthening the bench. But what about if Whiteside becomes the free agent, doesn't stay in Miami?
We mentioned that.
I didn't hear Whiteside. I heard Howard and Drummond.
Yeah, the thing is, Drummond's restricted, and they're going to pay the man. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no way they're not. Mm. So it comes down to Dwight, Whiteside, and maybe even Boogie if he has the option.
Or if they want to trade it. I mean, that fifth is very, very lucrative to a team like the Kings there.
Exactly.
I mean, I just see if it's either going to be all or they're either going to just take someone in the draft and just go with it, or they're going to make a big splash in free agent and go with the pick, or they're just going to go big splash in free agent and they're going to just trade the pick away.
Let's do them all. Just do it all.
It's pretty hard to see what Tom Thibodeau will do as a basketball president or president of basketball operations here in Minnesota, because we've never seen it before. It's hard to predict this, but you know that you're going to get consistent on-court value from Thibodeau because, he plays his players hard, but he also gets the most out of his players. And I think that, in 2 to 3 years, the Timberwolves will be a fierce competitor in the Western Conference.
I'm going to throw out 2 more names, and this is just throwing more names of the pot.
Do it, Ricky.
Why not? Paul Gasol, who's probably not going to be back in Chicago, and Al Horford.
Horford, I could see. Gasol's too
Gasol
old.
gives you that outside shot.
But you want someone inside
he's
to go with Cat.
Worked with Thibodeau when he was with the Bulls.
Well, I mean,
But didn't truly work. I mean, I don't know.
You calling him a lazy Italian?
Yeah, I'm calling him a lazy. Right now, he's lazy. Right now, he's too old. He's slow. I don't think that's the guy that Thibodeau wants with him in Minnesota here. I can see Al Horford though, but Al Horford might command too much.
Just
I mean,
two
all
other
these
names.
guys we're talking here. I mean, Thibodeau might go saving money and just wait until
The big blockbuster year?
until
Yeah.
Cat and Wiggins really go unrestricted here. I mean, we don't really know what he's going to do, but I think that. With the position and the players that they have right now and the ability with, the cap space they have and the draft pick, I think that this team will be in contention for the NBA
He'll
championship.
put him in position to
in
compete.
2 to 3 years. Yeah.
He'll absolutely be there because he builds an all-around team. I mean, that's one of the things you got to give him credit for.
Next year, I could see them making the playoffs too.
Yeah.
I mean, this
Without
team,
a doubt.
This team is ridiculous. I mean, and now you have Tom Thibodeau, who's one of the best coaches in the NBA. It's really, as long as he doesn't overwork his players or freak injuries happen, then I don't see Minnesota not being able to compete. Because I mean, that's what really killed him in Chicago was D Rose. D Rose lost his knees.
He lost his knees.
Yeah, he lost his knees.
Had he not, I mean, they won 62 games that first year.
Yeah.
And all they've done since then is add more talent around D Rose.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's ridiculous what Tom Thibodeau can get out of his guys, and we know it from Chicago that it might have been the right move to get rid of him in Chicago just because he was butting heads with the front office, but now that he doesn't have that front office lingering over him, I think this can be a fantastic move for Minnesota, and I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are really built here. Any final thoughts on Coach Tibby?
No,
I think we've wrapped it up. Dream team.
Dream team, 1992 Dream Team.
Okay, Vince Young. We know what happens when.
Let's set those expectations early.
Maybe we should talk Timberwolves jerseys.
If you want to crown their asses, crown their asses.
There we
Dave.
go.